feeding tube awareness video. First video of a few we're going to be doing this week. This is my little son Arlo, who is 20 months old. Yeah, and his daddy and my husband is behind the camera.
Hi everyone.
His name's Josh, and this is our little tubey boy. Arlo's had a feeding tube for just over 10 months now. It's a little squirmy worm at the moment, but we're really excited to do these videos for you. So in the spirit of Feeding Tube Awareness Week, we decided to make a series of videos that just kind of goes through our accounts, our experiences with our little monkey, who will be making noise. It's inevitable through this whole entire thing. So with that said, I just want to make it very clear, come here, that this is not a replacement for any medical advice or counseling. We are not medical professionals at all. We're just going to be sharing some of our experiences and hoping it shares awareness with everybody else, tube feeding family or not. The reason why people need a feeding tube is that they aren't able to take in enough nutrition by mouth, so eating and drinking, to sustain a healthy life. So there are many different kinds of feeding tubes that people will get to help with that. The type of feeding tube that our son Arlo has is called a G-tube, or a gastrostomy tube. And what that is a little tube, here's his, that is inserted through the stomach, through the abdomen wall, through the skin, into the belly, into the stomach itself. So the food is delivered right through this little tube, directly into his stomach, and he doesn't have to eat it in order to get nutrition. Arlo does also eat by mouth, but not everybody does. Some people solely get their nutrition through the G-tube. So since this is kind of a brief introductory video, I wanted to share a little bit about Arlo's story, and everybody's story is different. There are so many different reasons why people end up needing to be tube fed. But Arlo was born healthy. As the weeks went on after his birth, we noticed he wasn't really gaining weight. He wasn't really keeping anything he ate down. Anything we fed him down would just come right back up. And he was eventually diagnosed with severe GERD, or severe acid reflux disease. And we put him on a medication that helped a lot. We eliminated foods from his diet because we found out he was allergic to them. And all of those things helped, and he started to grow little by little. Eventually, we kind of noticed that Arlo wasn't really meeting his developmental milestones. So at that point, we had him evaluated and he qualified for services. So he gets PT, OT, and feeding therapy. Once he started getting those services, he started coming along nicely, and then all of a sudden he stopped eating anything. He wouldn't take a bottle, he didn't even really want to nurse, he wouldn't eat any solids, he just stopped eating. We went with further testing and found out that he was not safely swallowing his liquids, so he was aspirating on them, and that could have potentially been one of the reasons why he was not eating anymore. It was around that time that Arlo started losing weight, and at that point, our family and the doctors kind of decided it was best for Arlo to be in an inpatient setting, so he was admitted into the hospital for a feeding tube placement. And he got his G-tube about, oh boy, we have a little Godzilla back here. So Arlo started off with an NG tube, which goes in through his nose, down the back of his throat, and into his belly. That did not work out well. He did not tolerate it well. So about 10 days later, he got a G-tube placed. And the G-tube has been really helpful. It was unfortunate it was a surgical procedure, but totally worth it in the long run. So that's a very, very condensed version of how Arlo got to have a G-tube and the reasons potentially why he needed a G-tube. We know there's a lot of symptoms going on with Arlo. We're still working to find out exactly what his diagnosis is. We kind of know where it's leading, but we aren't quite ready to share that information until we know more information from the doctors. But he has a really amazing medical team working for him and a lot of support from family and friends. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching this video. Stay tuned for more because we're going to have some Q&As down the road this week. If you have any questions or comments at all, please feel free to ask them. We love questions. I think people kind of get weird and they're afraid to offend us or something from asking about Arlo's feeding tube, but really that's how we're going to educate and that's how we're going to spread awareness. So please feel free, ask away, and I hope I'll get to answer all of the questions later. Anyway, come here, you. Thank you so much for tuning in.